Liverpool take the biscuit yet again in the Champions League, and we are top of this stage of the Champions League. If Inter don't win this evening, then it's still looking pretty good for us. And at this point, we've automatically qualified for the next round. We're seeded in the next round, and therefore we get to play the second leg at Anfield. It is a satisfying new format for us, but there is a lot to talk about after the game. And I've got to admit, at the start of the season, I was talking about how to play Liverpool, how Liverpool want to be played and how other people make us a little uncomfortable, and how we haven't really, it's not about the quality of the team that you face, it's about the quality that they possess in opening you up. It's about the quality that they possess in making you suffer, in trying to work you out. And one of the best teams to do that so far, or one of the best teams that at least works out pre-match, was Newcastle. And this comes after that 10-game run, that killer run, as Robbie from AFTV or DR Sports put it. And as so many other people predicted that we wouldn't get any points in that run, I remember feeling relatively confident that we would, but knowing that in that time, all the brilliant managers, all the brilliant players would work out ways, just small little cuts that would slowly work out where Liverpool's weaknesses were. And I feel like Newcastle were the first team that really, and I mean really, played upon a weakness or a couple of weaknesses that Liverpool have. Now, that's not to say that in general in football there aren't some rules, right? Some teams will come and sit deep. In fact, a lot of teams are going to come and sit deep against Liverpool. They know how we want to play. They know that we want to be pressed in some capacity. They know how we want to move our front line. They know that if you sit deep against the Darwin Núñez and then Salah on one side and Diaz on the other, it's going to be much more difficult for Liverpool to score. And they know that actually the counter-attack against Liverpool is fairly effective. I mean, when I say fairly, I mean more effective than just going all out attack, unless you are a certain side. And I think a couple of teams more recently, especially Newcastle, have worked out that if you attack Liverpool, get into that area just in front of the edge of the box, and then start to make our centre-backs think, you are giving us a little bit more of a challenge. Now, that's not to say that I think Liverpool have been worked out or that Arne Slot hasn't encountered this before. I just think it's how seasons go. It's how people... It's like how football tactics have always worked. You do something, we do something. And Slot won't be a one-dimensional manager. Obviously he isn't, we've already seen that, right? You see the first half, Liverpool, again, that jab. And in the second half, oh, we've worked out. Like, your timing is this, your area is this. Move Szoboszlai over there, move Curtis Jones to the edge of here. And you can see what the overall tactics are. There's a repeatable system that Liverpool are trying to get in place. And I appreciate that system. But I don't appreciate at the moment that there are a couple of players in the side who look a little bit tired because they've had to consistently start, are possibly not fitting square pegs into round holes, but just, once the position becomes yours, what are you doing with it? Like, remember, it's now your position. Curtis Jones, that's now your position. Szoboszlai, a bit more floating tonight, but that's very much your position. It's very much your domain. Those guys tonight didn't exactly sit in front of the defence and cover themselves in glory. Having said that, I actually think that, in terms of playing a team like Girona, we knew that with a goalkeeper like Alisson coming back, with a backline with Joe Gomez in it and Trent Alexander-Arnold bombing on, they were going to try and pepper the goalkeeper. They were going to try and make him uncomfortable in his first game back officially in a Liverpool shirt after 2 months out. And they were going to try and make Liverpool's backlines uncomfortable as possible. They did a pretty good job of that. It's not to say that I really felt they did anything of any great meaning. Quite a few of their long shots had really just passed the eye test better than they pass, the actual threat test. But at the same time, I felt that they tempered what Liverpool wanted to do, and it worked. Like, that was effective against us. It took to the point where we needed, what I will admit is a relatively soft penalty tonight in order to get through that back line. Now, that is partially because our front line currently lacks rotation, currently lacks the movement that we need, and currently lacks the confidence that it needs. The Darwin Núñez situation is kind of, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is it the goal that comes first, or is it our confidence in him that comes first? Is it his confidence that comes first, and then ours, and then the goal? Or does the goal come after his confidence? Or is it really that he's also so mercurial, and there are so many brilliant moments that he's looking for and trying so many different things, that sometimes, he plays well, and sometimes not so well? Because if that is the case, then we cannot have a striker within our side who is that inconsistent. I'm not moaning about him. I'm not trying to put him down in a toxic, negative way. I'm trying to analyse what I see as Liverpool's system right now and work out what's going to work best for us. I know I prefer Jota in that position right now. I know I almost prefer Luis Diaz in that position right now. So what is it that we're doing with our news? Well, first of all, we're starting him against slightly less strong sides than some of the other teams that will have played. Girona haven't been a fantastic side this season, and in fact, that was a pretty impressive performance from them. Like I said in my preview, this was much more of an FA Cup play up, punch up, and remind everyone else in Europe what it is that they possess. You know, go out there, lads, and show them what you're made of, kind of thing, rather than we're going to go out there and just beat Liverpool handedly. They aren't the same side they were last season, but they are still a very good team. And at this point, I think you still just take the wins, right? And no one should be moaning about the wins. But I think judging this Liverpool team purely on results is also it's kind of myopic in the way that you're looking at things. You're not exactly seeing the long-term progress. And I think at this point, we are beginning to see the people who fit Arne Slot's system very well, the people who will begin to be part of the rotation very consistently, and the people who, there are some people who are still coming back to fitness, but like, for instance, Andy Robertson actually fits this quite nicely. There's quite a nice fit there for Robbo. He's got the underlapping runs, he's got the overlapping runs, but I love those underlapping runs of his. I love the support he offers to Luis Diaz. It feels like he's working up another relationship like the one that he had with Mane, and though Mane was obviously a slightly more clinical winger, Diaz and whoever's out there on that wing always has that support. I also love when Curtis Jones floats over there. Szoboszlai seems to be playing that like floating right wing thing. God knows what we would do if we actually had some sort of like feeling of consistency on that right. You know, would Mo Salah be even better? I guess it's a really tricky role playing with Mo Salah because you can't get under his feet, but at the same time you want to be able to enable him. You want to be close enough to give him a pass. Salah often talks about Hendo and why he was so good for that reason. There was a very repeatable system there and the legs in order to do it. Szoboszlai's role feels a little bit more complex. Got a video actually coming out in the next couple of days, probably next week actually, about who Liverpool compare to and how over the past couple of weeks my thoughts on them have really changed. Not necessarily for the negative, just how I try to look at them. And I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments below. Having said all of that, Alisson tonight was our best player. And that's probably because he had a lot of, visibility. He had a lot of saves to make. He really didn't look like he'd been away for all that long. What I love is when people sort of act as if the goalkeeper hasn't trained for all this period, hasn't been working his way back up to fitness and go, oh, they're really going to be testing him tonight. It's like, do you not think that Liverpool's elite level players are testing him in every training session? Obviously, it's not like boxing. You're not going to not go 100%. The players are going to want to know they can stick it top corner. He's going to want to know that if he's got a shot on the way to its top corner, he is going to save it. It's not like Liverpool would have just started a half-fit Alisson. Again, because that's exactly what our manager was telling us. And again, because he's injury-prone, maybe that's a harsh term to use for him, but he is injury-prone, or at least he's more prone to injury. It sounds better like that. We would be more careful with him. It would just make sense to, right? Now, Champions League-wise, I wanted to say the whole section for the brilliant man that is Mo Salah. Mo Salah running down the wing, Salah the Egyptian king. This guy is prolific in terms of scoring goals. Penalty tonight, sure, but I think he was still great. I love this roaming role that he has on the inside right, the enabling that he does for all the players around him, the brilliant little... Liverpool love this thing at the moment, like a round-the-corner pass. The ball gets them, it's like a bounce around the corner. Darwin Núñez tried it a couple of times. Salah tries it, it's very effective. Grav and Kurt both tried it a little bit tonight, and we try it both ways, actually, but Salah is just a demon, and I mean that in the nicest term, sense of the term, in these kind of areas, in opening up the play, in the little cute touches, in the one-and-one. He's a great combiner with other players. He's someone who always does that. And his goal scoring is actually, well, it's one of his prolific aspects of his game. His gravity in the game now is so much. His pull towards the ball with the players really enables this Liverpool team to just get off any attack. Like, if you want to counter-attack with him, fantastic. If you want to attack a deep team, he's great at that. Trent on the overlap just really opens up Mo Salah on the other side. And obviously, having missed the penalty at Anfield against Real Madrid, I was eager for him to score this penalty. And like I said, I thought it was quite a soft penalty to concede. Liverpool were quite fortunate tonight. But again, when you are going for a penalty against the opposition, part of the pressure that you put them under, the judgments they have to make, the pressure they have to put on you, and therefore the pressure you put on the ref is part of the flow of the game. Saying it's a soft penalty is one thing, but was it not a penalty? I don't think so. So Salah is elite. He goes above, and there are so many great names in here that I just want to read you for a second because it really is like, hold on, there we go. Okay, Salah has now scored more goals. Oh, where have I got that tweet? Salah has now scored more goals than Pippo Inzaghi. He scored more goals than Drogba. He scored so many more goals than brilliant, and I mean like elite level Champions League players. And not only that, but he has 50 goals in the Champions League. On top of that, we've now got a 6-win streak. Milan 3-1 was there. That was actually a pretty consistent performance. Apart from that opening goal, we completely worked them out in about 20 minutes, and for the rest of the game, it was all us. Honestly, Canate was a beast on that night. 2-0 Bologna. Tricky, but ultimately it was a 2-0 win. 1-0 versus Leipzig. Kind of similar to tonight's game, actually. A team playing up, team with actually pretty good quality from last season, but not the previous power they were. Leverkusen, we absolutely annihilated them. I think Xabi Alonso knew he was going to get annihilated. You could see he was quite sheepish. Same with Real Madrid. I think we absolutely annihilated them on the night. They were really poor. They didn't go forward against us. We might have beaten the German champions. We might have beaten the English champions. We might have beaten the Spanish champions. But all three of those were just badges on shirts on that night, to be honest. Girona and Newcastle have been harder games than both of those. And well, yeah, it's that simple, really. I actually think Girona and Newcastle have been some of the harder games we've played this season. We sit top of that league. Inter, currently as this is being recorded, on 14 points, I want to say? Yeah, 14 points. Barcelona on 12. They'll be within touching distance of us, but because Aston Villa are on 10, Monaco are on 10, Arsenal are on 10, Leverkusen are on 10, they cannot catch us. So, potentially, I think actually that means potentially we're guaranteed a top 4 finish in this league, which is, for me, pretty incredible. But what I will say is the rest of the league speaks to the quality of this Liverpool team. By the way, 1 goal conceded that whole time. That is immense. Nothing but dubs. Inter, Barcelona, sure. Dortmund, Atalanta, Leverkusen, sure. Arsenal, good. Monaco, decent. Villa, decent. I think it shows the diversity and the technical prowess of these managers is so key. I'm watching at the moment Leverkusen versus Inter, 2 really technically proficient sides just cancelling each other out. Do either of them really need it at this point? I'd say Leverkusen definitely need it. I'd say Inter aren't out of touching distance of everyone else, but, they want to finish in that top 8. So this is a pretty key game for both those guys. It shows it's not about just quality and the elite level. This league has taken out those elite teams in that sense, and they can no longer just roll through in the way they did before. It works really well for us. It's a great compromise on the Super League, and as much as in future seasons, I almost guarantee that we will be cursing this league at times because of our own misfortune. If we stay consistent, obviously it's fantastic, but there will be seasons where you just have bad European form. Hopefully not, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. This has been a great format so far, and I think it's nothing but a great change in the Champions League. Let me know who you thought your guys were in the Champions League. And Matt, by the way, what's your favourite Mo Salah goal? My favourite ever Mo Salah goal is probably the away one to City, or the one where he put absolutely top bins. Was it against Roma? That really was a great one. There is Discord down there. There is also Patreon. If you want to support the work we do, you're more than welcome in there. There are free memberships as well in there if you want to see what is already on there. And I will chat to you guys on this channel again tomorrow. Much love.